Hello, you can call me Mickey, and here's my story. In the spring of 1980, I had just turned 18 years old. Me and my parents didn't get along very well, and they kicked me out of the house, which I knew was coming the moment I turned 18. I had to move in with my grandparents. It was a horrible night the first night I was there, but I made it through. My grandmother pressed me to finish high school, so I did. Anywho, I got my first job at Burger King. I remember that first day very well. I was working on counter, and a beautiful woman walked in. I mean, I had never seen such a gorgeous woman in my life. I instantly fell in love with her, and she didn't even know who I was. As she ordered her food, she went and sat down, and I was watching her. She probably thought I was a creep or something, but at that point, I really didn't care. I was infatuated with her. When her food came up, I took it out to the table for her. I didn't make her wait for it. I took her food out to the table. She gave me a huge smile and said, "Thank you very much." I asked her if there was anything else I can get her. I even refilled her soda for her so she didn't have to get up. "My pleasure," I said, "ma'am." By the time I returned, it was time for me to clock out. Yay, I was so happy. Now I can follow her and, oh my God, I could follow her and find out where she lives. Folks, this isn't easy to read, but please bear with me. I waited outside in my car. Finally, about 20 minutes later, she had come out, walked over to her car. Now I know what kind of car she drove. Started my car, followed her out of the parking lot, down the street, and about 20 minutes later, we got to her house. I kind of just passed it up. At least I know where she lives now. A week goes by. I'm still watching her. I'm watching her every move. I follow her in the mornings to her job. I follow her back home. I even know where her best friend lives and her pathetic boyfriend. I have to admit, I got this horrible rage in me when I found out her boyfriend lived so close to her and could easily just walk to her house. Oh, that just tore me up inside. I did not like it. It was around Christmas time, so some time had went by, and I was ready to introduce myself to my luscious bride. I still remember that night. I parked about 3 blocks away. When I got out of my car, I went to the trunk. I got my handcuffs, my tape, duct tape, and a rope, I guess, to tie her legs up. Anywho, I go to her house and I look through the window of the kitchen where she was cooking. It smells so good, the aroma coming out. I knew she was a good cook, and I knew she was perfect for me. Is this guy real? I had the courage to knock on her door, but I wasn't quite sure how to do it. But 5 minutes had passed, took a deep breath, went to the front porch, and I knocked on her door. When she answered, she looked startled, like she couldn't remember who I was. I mean, come on, I only seen her about 9 months ago. I filled up her soda. She has to remember me. Quick, I said, make up a name so she don't like call the police on you and think that I'm crazy. "Hey, my name is Jason. I just wanted to see if you wanted your lawn done tomorrow." She stood in the doorway and stared at me like I was crazy because it was already kind of nighttime. The sun was going down, and I didn't have a lawnmower with me. I didn't know what else to say. I mean, I wanted to see her so badly. I just figured I better push myself through the front door so I can at least get to know her and she could get to know me. After all, 9 months. Come on. She has to know me. She has to remember me. So I grabbed the courage up in my mind. I reached up I pushed her back. I went into her house. She started screaming. I mean, uncontrollably. I didn't know what to do. I was so afraid that the neighbors would hear me. I told her, shut up. She wouldn't shut up. She just kept screaming. So I had to grab her and I had to smack her upside her face to get her to shut up. She just screamed louder and louder. I didn't know what to do. So I reached up and I grabbed her by her hair and I pulled her into the kitchen. And there was a knife there on the table that she was using to dice onions, and I was watching her dice the onions because she was cooking. So I grabbed the knife and I stuck it in her shoulder just to get her to shut up, and she screamed even louder and I didn't know what to do. So I grabbed the knife and I stuck it in her chest just to get her to shut up. I wanted to marry this woman. And then her body dropped lifeless on the floor. There was blood everywhere. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. Should I dial 911 to try to save my beautiful bride? No, I panicked. I got out of there. I ran out the door. I didn't know what to do. I left the door open. I just ran. I ran to my car. I got in my car. I calmed down and I drove off and drove back to my house where I lived. The next day, that very next morning, there was a knock on my door. The police were there. Oh my God, they know it's me. How did they find out? I mean, nobody was around. How did they know it was me? I started panicking. I didn't know what else to do. So I calmed down. I'm clean. I took a shower. I had no blood on me. Oh no, but the clothes are still in my room on the floor. It's too late. Just open the door. Maybe it's not what I think they're there for. So I go up and open the door. And there's like 5 officers standing at the door and 2 detectives. And they called me by my real name, which I'm not going to tell you. And I said, yes, that's me. And they brought out their guns. They put me on the floor. They put me in handcuffs and said that I was under arrest for murder. They caught me. What happened? I didn't know she had a son. Her son was home. He was in the room. He saw and heard everything. I had no clue she had a kid. I did not know this because I never saw her son. Anyway, to make my story a little bit shorter, I spent 15 years in Folsom Prison, and it was the most horrifying 15 years of my life. Until this day, I regret what I did, hurting my bride. I didn't mean to do it, but that's my story, and I give you permission to share it. That was crazy, folks. That was a real email I got about a week ago. And I tried to recite a way to tell it, to make it to where you can understand the realization of it. I hope you liked it. On the better note is I'm Wayne, and I'll talk to you on the next one.